All right, the first debate is now in the books. President Barack Obama and Governor Mitt Romney showcased their vision for the country to a national audience. The face-to-face focused mostly on the economy and differences of opinion and strategies. Joining us now is Jonathan Strong with Roll Call. They've been watching the campaign. You watched the debates, kind of doing some fact-checking and overall impressions. Thanks for coming in. First of all, tell me your overall impression of the debate. Is there a winner? Is there a loser? How'd it go?
Well, I think the consensus opinion following the debate was that Romney was kind of a strong winner here. His temperament, his demeanor was much more, he had a lot more energy on stage. President Obama looked, his presentation was a little bit halting. He kept looking down throughout the debate. And so a lot of that body language that tends to really resonate with voters who aren't as tuned into the campaign went in Romney's direction.
You know, by some measure, some people say, when you see these debates, you want to see who looks presidential, obviously the president, but whoever's running against. You know, I think most people would have to say Romney acquitted himself quite well. He looked presidential, in command of the facts, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and the first debate is great for the challenger because everybody is expecting the president to win. I mean, he's the president, and then you get these two guys on the stage, and they're peers for the first time in the whole campaign, and that gives the challenger a leg up.
We're going to go to some specifics, but let me ask you first, in terms of truthfulness, accuracy, how were the different candidates?
Well, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of arguments about that in the days to come. You know, we had a whole, the first part of the debate, there was a whole big discussion about what Mitt Romney's tax plan is, and they disagreed pretty vehemently on it.
Well, let's since you brought that up, let's go to that. We want to talk about this. This $5 trillion tax amount was put back and forth. Let's take a look.
Okay.
I'm not looking for a $5 trillion tax cut. What I've said is I won't put in place a tax cut that adds to the deficit.
Okay. The president kept going back to the $5 trillion, and Mitt Romney kept saying, no, it's not $5 trillion.
Well, the problem here is that Mitt Romney hasn't filled all the blanks in on his tax plan. And so what Obama has done is make assumptions about what it would actually mean in detail, and then, you know, pointed to a study that did that and said, okay, well, if you made these assumptions, it would come out to $5 trillion. Romney is saying, no, that's not what I'm going to do, and when I unveil my plan, you'll see. I guess in the terms of the debate, I think Romney kind of comes away here with the victory because it's hard for the viewer who doesn't have an encyclopedic understanding of this to really believe that Mitt Romney is not for a plan that he says he's not for on stage there.
Okay, very interesting. One of the other things that was bandied about throughout the course of the evening, Medicare. A lot of talk about Medicare. And Mitt Romney kept saying that the president wants to take $716 million out of Medicare right away. And the president didn't really refute that. Let's take a look at these comments.
But on Medicare, for current retirees, he's cutting $716 billion from the program. Now he says by not overpaying hospitals and providers, actually just going to them and saying we're going to reduce the rates you get paid across the board. Everybody's going to get a lower rate. That's not just going after places where there's abuse. That's saying we're cutting the rates.
$716 billion we were able to save from the Medicare program by no longer overpaying insurance companies, by making sure that we weren't overpaying providers.
I think I said 716 million. Obviously, it's billion. What's the truth here? Do we know?
Yeah, there's a core fact here that's not in dispute, which is that Obamacare takes $716 billion out of the Medicare system over 10 years. President Obama is arguing that that came out of overpayments to insurance and other things that won't affect the care of patients who are on Medicare. Mitt Romney is saying you can't isolate where the money comes out, and it's ultimately going to affect people's care.
All right. Mitt Romney did give some specific examples of programs that he would cut, and among them is PBS. Let's take a look at that.
is the program so critical it's worth borrowing money from China to pay for it? And if not, I'll get rid of it. Obamacare is on my list. I apologize, Mr. President. I use that term with all respect.
I like
it. Good. Okay, good. So I'll get rid of that. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm going to stop the subsidy to PBS. I'm going to stop other things. I like PBS. I love Big Bird. I actually like you too. But I'm not going to keep on spending money on things to borrow money from China to pay for.
Were you surprised that he went there with Jim Lehrer hosting the thing?
I was very surprised. I would say that moment is probably the closest we got to one of Romney's awkward, mitisms, like $10,000 bet or something. I mean, it was probably the low moment. It's a little awkward between him and Jim Lehrer. But the interaction on Obamacare, I thought, was somewhat amusing to see them talk about that phrase.
I've heard some people say, well, I mean, that's what he plans to do, and he was willing to say it right there and stand up to what he stands for. Want to go and look at an exchange between the president and Jim Lehrer very quickly. Let's take a look at this.
Now, the last point I'd make before...
2 minutes is up, sir.
No, I think I had 5 seconds before you interrupted me, was...
There's that smile. What did you think of that?
Now, yeah, it's supposed to be funny, and I think you can look at it and laugh. I do think this is one of his poorer moments in terms of his personality, his personability. He had a tendency to... be a little bit halting and a little bit, he had a kind of smirk on his face a lot of the debate. And I think that does not come across well in the debate forum, and that was an example of that right there.
All right, very good. Jonathan Strong, we thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
We could talk for an hour about the debate. We'll see you again sometime soon, though.
Thanks very much.
All right, thank you very much. Back over to the desk now, Allison and Tucker.